high, it's from there.
Okay. Well, now that they are on the red side, do you think they could try to just take the Tristana away in their first rotation of picks?
Yeah, they probably should if they end up leaving open the Rise. And also like the Victor ban here, because Ever's on the blue side, so they cannot pick the counter matchup that they want, the Varus, and it's not being banned. So banning the Victor out here is probably like the best choice they can make, simply because of how blue side works, where you don't have the last pick to counter that matchup. And of course, Gangplank being banned, not surprised. I mean, we haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
Really. So Dr. Mundo being banned, which tells me they maybe want to force a Lulu ban or Lulu first pick here right now.
I think Ever's going to go for the Rise first pick comfortably unless the Varus comes in. If the Varus ban comes in, I can imagine them going for the Lulu. But as long as Varus is open on the table, first pick that Rise and go for the same strategy that worked out in this other game.
It's like a bit of a bait too. They know that, okay, if we don't ban Lulu, we're gonna pick it up here right now because they're gonna pick the Rise, and then it's like, okay, you have the Lulu, we're just gonna pick the Varus into it, and then we had our counter matchup, which is really good, and whatever wants to do probably here.
Yeah, always a benefit of having just one step ahead, one extra counter pick.
Banning a Rise is better probably, and then picking Lissandra I think is a better choice over the Lulu too, just because of the the reason we mentioned right now.
Yeah, the same thing where the Varus is still available. All three of you guys mentioned earlier, just the big benefits that Lissandra brings, especially in the current meta, and we've seen that time and time again so far in this tournament at the Intel Extreme Masters.
Yep.
Tristana Trundle?
Tristana Trundle, of course, but with the Rise ban, I think that the AD carry is not, I mean, there's like a lot more options right now on the table for the AD carries too, so maybe like a Misfortune.
I'm thinking simply because QG is going to end up with the Lulu eventually, most likely, because the combination of Lulu and Lissandra is not that nice, if I put it that way. Tristana, Lulu, you can do a lot of things with that composition, and it's not as weak as the previous comps, like the Vayne into the poke composition, because Tristana can kind of contest as soon as he reaches that BT.
So I think a Rek'Sai pickup in that rotation should be a no-brainer, and the Trundle lock-in would be like really good too. Rek'Sai has been showing that he's like a better pick when Mundo is banned. Has been like really successful so far, and
there you go.
I liked it a lot. Like Trundle, still flex it, of course, into the top or support role, but it should probably be the support anyway, because the bot lane matchup for QG is locked in, and it's probably not just a response, and maybe even have to see like a Fiora here from QG, possibly put that into like the Lissandra matchup. She actually has like good matchup in that regard, and jungle matchup, what else is open? I mean, QG probably gonna last pick Nidalee, right? But
I was like
the Nautilus mid.
Oh, he's busting it out.
To be fair, something that is worth mentioning is the fact that Kallista's open here.
Kallista's open,
depending on matchup, I feel like Tristana, Alistair is really good into Kalista, so that is like a double-edged sword. So QG's idea in the first rotation kind of makes sense with leaving Kalista open.
Okay, and so this Nautilus mid, are we going to see it? Going to happen?
I hope that Doinby plays it. Now, this is a specialty of his in the LPL. He hasn't pulled it out a ton, but I think he's pulled it out 3 or 4 times. Likewise, he played it in the LSPL alongside Maokai mid, so he's very familiar with kind of the juggernauts in the mid lane. Right. What he does, or what he used to do in the past, is he would run double Dorans and not max his shield, but put a couple of points early into his shield, and it just becomes this tanky nightmare. And then from there you go into your CDR, so you're constantly throwing out this disruption. The cool thing about Nautilus is his kit is just riddled with CC, because you're effectively getting CC not only through your hook and your displacement, your slow, but also on your auto attack, because you're able to get those staggers.
Lulu is still open. Maybe it's Nautilus top against Lissandra.
Yeah, I think Nautilus kind of solves the issue they had in the previous game, because Nautilus is very good into the Varus. I feel like the only reason Ever is hesitating here is because Nautilus provides that engage that they have been lacking.
Yeah, they're looking at a couple other options. Of course, Kassadin, even if you do get ulted, you can at least get some distance away from you, get away from your team, of course. Make sure that not everyone gets knocked up.
Yeah, wants the Sivir to have the spell shield against the Nautilus ultimate.
Yeah, it seems like a QG at the very least succeeding in throwing a wrench into the cogs here. And it's not necessarily going to secure them a victory, but it's definitely making Ever think a little bit and have to play a different ball game than they did in games 2 and 3.
I just hope someone just brings out an AD mid against the Kassadin. I just want to finally see it, because I wanted them to just send the Nautilus stop. I just want someone to bust out something.
You don't know
like
about the infamous attack speed 80 Nautilus? Just swinging his anchor around.
Trinity Force.
It's for QG, it's much more a mid pick than it is a top lane pick. It was really Elite in the LPL that utilized Nautilus top. I mean, it could technically go into V's hands, but kind of feel like he's still feeling the Fiora.
Just pick the Lulu, man.
The Lulu's still open. I mean, it would be surprising to see it slip all the way through.
Has to be Lulu. Has to be.
Oh, whoa. Ooh. That's not something we considered at all.
To be fair, Ever's composition is relatively low range. While Trundle is good against anything that doesn't have any kind of escape.
Right.
I feel like that's what we've been saying about Trundle all week. So at this point, Cassiopeia is facing a very low-range composition. Maybe we'll see a 5-man Petrifying Gaze at some point.
And Doinby can play this champion. He showed it off excellently against Invictus Gaming and managed to... I don't know if he picked up a Quadra or a Penta in that game, but he did some work.
Yeah, and like you guys said, composition-wise, this is kind of set up as well as it could be for a Cassiopeia towards the mid to late game whenever those team fights happen. Then rounding it out, now with Alistar going, of course, into the bottom and Nautilus going all the way to the top, how do you see this? Wrench still successfully thrown into the cogs of Ever?
Well, Ever is not going to go for the double TP too, which tells me that they actually want to win the early game against that comp and maybe pressure the Cassio out. It's like a game plan here right now. Okay, we have that Ignite, we want to play around the mid lane, make sure that Cassio gets to level 3 safely, solve the issue of Cassio having that free lane that she shouldn't have. And the problem I see is if that composition from QG falls behind, then Ever can just roll over them pretty much.
All right, well, hopefully for QG fans out there, QG is able to hold on to that game and get to the point where they want the fights that they've been looking for. But if not, Ever may very well become the champions here in Cologne. We'll find out as we go into the next game.
Hands as we head into this fourth game, and it is match point forever. But this draft phase is different than any other we've seen all weekend.
And surprisingly, it's QG that throw the flexes, specifically the Nautilus. Doinby's reputation for mid lane Nautilus precedes himself, but it's a smart flex. And surprisingly, let's track back and think about how Lissandra played out last game. Of course, it's going to be Lissandra versus Nautilus in the top lane. Lissandra basically stood next to the double AD, ulted the first person that came, and played a peel roll. Guess who can do that very similarly, but be super tanky? The Nautilus does it just fine.
Right, but I'm really more interested in seeing how this mid lane plays out, because that Cassiopeia was one of the most unexpected things. They thought they had it locked up against 2NB, knowing that he was going to take the Nautilus mid. Instantly, boom, swapped for QG, and they are pulling out all the stops to try and take this to game number 5.
And you said it right. We are onto the rift here. It's going to be Ever in the blue. And on the red, it's going to be QG. Their last chance to get a win here. Otherwise, they'll be giving over the crown and all the glory to Ever. Obviously hailing from the Korean region now as well. When we do the Cassidy mid lane here, something that you weren't really too sold on, Papa.
I mean, the Ignite's the big question mark, right? Ignite is the big question mark, given that Athena's had such a propensity for going for the teleport cast. And I can understand on some level why he's going for the Ignite. Specifically, it's because you look at this mid lane matchup, Cassiopeia, specifically pre-6, where she doesn't have to worry about missing the Noxious Blast, and she'll just consistently have such an easy time tagging with the poison and getting massive Twin Fang trade damage in. That the laning's fine, but it's just so strong for Cassiopeia that you will opt into the Cassid and the Ignite just for a bit of kill pressure, just for the hope that an unburrowed gank and the Ignite's enough to get a kill. But apart from that, it's going to be just panic stations in the early game, trying to relieve pressure for what will be a very one-sided mid lane matchup.
It absolutely has to be. And Ares has just shown that as a jungler, he is not nearly as proactively aggressive as Swift. He's been set behind every single game this series. He's going to have to step it up here if they want to have a chance, a snowball's chance in hell in mid lane.
Well, going to be taking away the Grop here to kick things off, and what we can see as well, it doesn't seem to be any strange lane assignments as well. We're going to have that 2v2, of course. Loken going for that Sivir this time around. Not obviously being able to play that Tristana as TNT has snapped that one up for himself. And definitely no Vayne anywhere to be seen in this particular game.
Take a look at how this one starts off. Doinb actually takes a little bit of damage, but he trades it right back to Athena. He's just got this range advantage. They can't deal with him. Backs right up to his minions. He knows he can take the plays. He's even got sustain. They both start with the corrupting potion. I really want to see this early jungle pressure out of Ares, but he's got to be able to change it up.
Absolutely, and Swift, we saw one game where he just got massively ahead as the mid lane, 6-0, 7-0, something along those lines before he started to feed some global gold over to the enemy team. It didn't matter much in the end, such was the power of the 2v2.
That's going to be the exhaust and flash. 2 exhausts here, flash forward. Heal is going to be used, and there's the first blood to pick up for Key.
And there's no jungle pressure to be talked about there, just a 2v2 death. You should never see this at the top level competitive play. All in was TNT. We talked and alluded to his reputation as struggling in lane and dying on Tristana, still level 1, and going to lose a lot of CS to the turret.
But now Swift is coming up to the top side, see if he can equalize as they get crazy, but he also is going to bail himself out. Swift's going in.
He's going to be able to catch this as well. Flash has burned for all and sundry, but at the end of the day, Swift is going to come up with the goods.
And just unfortunately paying for pushing too far in the lane. You have a big early wave pushing advantage as Lissandra, but if you take it at a bad time, if you disrespect the fast clear of Italy, you pay the result, and this is just the beginning. Eris, this is his job. Relieve pressure from the Cassidon.
Swift, though, is looking to apply even more. He misses the Javelin toss, but Ares and Athena are so low in this lane. Doinb is having such a great time of it. Even though he's out of mana, he can keep getting it back.
And let's talk again about the pitfalls of pushing in top. We mentioned that Ares, his job is literally to be a support for mid lane. Is to stick around mid lane, use the Tremor Sense, see what's going on, make sure the Cassidon gets it out of laning phase without too much of a disadvantage. Why then is Lissandra, are you pushing? That's the big question. You can see they're rotating multiple people through mid just to try and get that CS.
Swift is back, though.
Still there.
Well, I mean, we see Key rotating towards mid to try and help it. Just missing that Javelin, and Swift is just going to back away there. Look at all the resources being devoted to mid lane forever just to keep Athena alive.
And at the same time, if you know that's your game plan, don't push in the top lane. Just CS, just wave clear. Stay back because you're not getting any jungle help until maybe level 6 where there's kill pressure from Eris.
I just think it's so interesting that every single game we've seen in this series, it's been the same trend. Ever trying to push out in the top, QG trying to push out in the bottom, punished on both sides. Swift is looking to come up again. Nautilus grabs him in on the dredge line. Crazy, he can't get out now.
No, he's slowed up by far too much. Ring of Frost was there to try and keep V at bay, but Swift was always going to be there. And we've seen this before, but now in the bot lane is going to be TNT forced to rocket jump away, and TCT caught in the mix a little bit here as well. Of course, tanking is not really available to him now. Hasn't hit that 6, but a teleport coming in behind. ESC went so deep on the bot lane, this might turn against them.
Looking for Key, but in comes Ares this time. Another teleport, a double teleport. They want to make this a fast one, a full team fight to start it off as Crazy goes around the side. Doinb gets blown up, and now TNT's jumping through to look for Crazy. Turns his attention back to Key as V's right there. Can they finish the fight? Looks like it's going to be the disengage.
But Crazy, though, is caught here a little bit. He's got to get away, and V is there with a dredge line, and there's a Ring of Frost, but the knockup comes Crazy in the wrong place at the wrong time. He gifted the Key over to TNT, one that I guess he had no business even getting for himself. But there you have it, a messy fight indeed. But QG come out with the goods.
The target selection was actually really good from QG. You noticed that Lissandra was overextended, but they didn't try to kill her. They knew she was a free kill on the backside of whatever they could get between Loken and Key. Double teleport versus single, a level 4 Cassidon. That's just a fight they ever just mathematically couldn't win. So they lose big there, and that's just the reality. They tried to put their resource in the Cassidon basket and then still decide to fight in bot.
keeping on going together. But Dwenby trading a little bit with Athena. Swift is already back in the bottom side now, trying to push the low health members off. Ares comes in here looking for Dwenby. He's ignited. He's not got anywhere to go, and Athena will pick him up. There's the jungle pressure we were looking for.
First commendable thing we can say about Ares. Very smart play. We knew he was going to be around mid. The fast path into mid. Still level 5, so no need to be very creative with your footwork to get through the petrifying gaze. Gets the kill, and Crazy's bodying by V.
Yeah, you see, even the depth charge coming out as well by V just to push Crazy back. Now, Ares had a pre-existing tunnel in the mid lane, so he was able to tunnel through and then burrow straight after, so could close a lot of the gap. And Dwenby maybe should have respected that a bit more and maybe dealt with it when he could have.
Finally, Ares going to try and provide a little bit of defensive movement around the top lane. One thing we're learning about Ever, I feel, this is a team that steamrolled through the Casper Cup, steamrolled through a lot of this tournament. One thing we're learning about them, it's those unorthodox picks that seem to leave them scratching their head. First game, the Soraka, they didn't seem to be the best at navigating her snare field through the E, the silence into the snare, and they had forced to ban her. In this game, they seem pretty questionable about the Nautilus.
Key getting a little bit caught out there as well. It looks like Swift wants to come forward. It has drawn Athena towards this Raptor pit, and Swift and TCT able to get away, even though they were quite extended.
Yeah, it really does seem like that Ever has not been able to find an opponent that can play to their level until this setup, until this 5-game series. Well, it might be a 5-game series if QG answered this one back. I'm getting a bit ahead of myself. But for right now, both teams are really making these little mistakes. They're being punished back and forth. So far, QG have been on the upper hand, but that could change. The turn of a dime, you see Ares looking to go around the side, repeat the gank that he just succeeded at in the mid lane.
No ignite this time, but they play this could work.
Swift is here.
Dwenby's not mobile, but it's going to be the counter gank coming in. Swift is there, but Dwenby's taking so much damage. It's going to be traded back and forth. And now the junglers are going to have it out of 10 paces. But Ares is going to take a couple steps back, realizing he's a little bit outclassed in the damage department.
Athena actually used the flash to re-engage. I think Ares had it all locked up, so I'm not really sure about the re-engage and the 1-for-1 overall. Seemed unnecessary from Athena.
No, trigger happy fingers though, and they are using those summoners so quick to try and make sure they lock it up, but possibly a bit of miscommunication to not be able to be on the same page. Ares, however, made a good play, back up to the top lane. V is still assailing Crazy with so much force. It's massive CS differential. That early gank pressure from Swift has turned this lane completely in favor of the Nautilus.
I mean, the Lissandra just really has no place in this lane. 0-3-1. It's much the same story as the Rise earlier in the series. Nothing, unfortunately, that Lissandra can do. It's a champion that has point-and-click CC, able to interrupt the glacial path and stop her from getting away. And the CS advantage, it's 30-ish, and it's going to grow.
And it's a null magic mantle as well as those Merc treads already completed here. So V's already expended in towards that magic resistance department. Going to make it harder for Crazy to make any of that damage really stick.
Definitely going to be a champion they're going to try and ignore and kill the rest of. It's going to be a big tank, at least from what we can see. There's always the option to go Rod of Ages, but certainly doesn't seem to be indicated by V's build.
Ares is coming up to the top, but V knows something's up, and he immediately dredges his way back to safety. Yeah, forever, they have got a lot of things to worry about now with the 2-0-1 Nidalee. Swift starting to have flashbacks to that last game. He played it. This time, it's going to be a dragon started up by QG Reapers, and there is no response whatsoever. Again, it has been deprioritized for the most part, but these two teams know the value when they can get it for absolutely nothing.
Cassidon, to his credit, is up in CS, so that's something, and that means Ares has succeeded in that. Swift and Ares meeting each other, so it's pretty low, so going to have to back away.
Definitely getting a little bit ahead of himself, perhaps, but at least just showing his presence was there as well. That information towards ESC, but now TNT caught up there by that pillar of frost, and Loken coming forward. Spell shield was expended as well. And there, no mana for Loken as well. He got exhausted, and V now in the middle of this one, out towards the back. TNT going low, but the heal is going to keep him alive. Ares instead gets turned on. He drops down, and again, ESC have to back away. Again, they've made a fight, but they cannot win.
They just keep dropping everything on ESC. QG Reapers pick up a triple kill on the Nidalee. It's happening again, boys, and now they can take down a turret here.
I never thought I'd live to see the day where Ever's getting out teleported. The global game's actually counting against them. This Ignite, it got them 1 kill. But every 5 minutes we see 5v4 in bot, and the big advantage goes over once again to QG.
Athena's appeared here towards a red buff though, as Swift is trying to take it away. This could get a bit dicey, but at least he'll have some safety of his friends.
Has everyone there with him, so Athena's not about to jump into that, but fantastic point, Papa Smithy. The Ignite, it is a very aggressively picked summoner spell, but the global pressure is on the side of QG Reapers. That alone effectively enabled that entire massive fight to swing QG's way.
Honestly, Ares just can't afford to make plays anywhere other than mid, because the moment it's in any other lane, and they're just going to get completely outnumbered. It's happened twice already this game. First time, understandable. Second time, it's just disregarding their win conditions, because for once they're behind in globals, and they're paying for it.
One thing we didn't really hit about the double teleport on one team and not the other is, yes, the 1-3-1 later on as lanes are being pushed is important, but now as well, you can pile yourself into that lane and make sure you come out on top just by sheer weight of numbers here. So QG have got that down, and now again, they're looking towards his mid lane. Bottom turret was tested, but now grouping towards his mid side. It's going to have to be Ares off from the side to dissuade any further advances.
QG try to get the siege on, but this time it is ESC Ever able to push them back. Really interesting to see how this Tristana on TNT's side is really differed from that of Loken's. He's definitely a little bit less aggressive, but nonetheless still had fantastic results. 2-1-3 is a great start to this one. He's obviously going to be a much more essential part of their kills rather than on the Sivir, the side of Loken, who is really going to be more of a point-and-click R run at them bot.
And it's definitely, as you mentioned, a champion that's not picked for its damage. It's picked for the utility that you see through it. We saw a pick of the Sivir yesterday. The question is speeding up, specifically the melee members, Trundle, Kassadin to some degree, of course, with Riftwalk has immense mobility, and the Rek'Sai, enough to justify the pick. It's almost been solely picked to deal with the Nautilus. That's why they've gone with the Spell Shield, being one of the few things that can deal with the depth charge. But it's a lot to invest for, you know, moving Loken away from a carrier, and Loken's been one of the cornerstones, specifically of their run at IEM Cologne.
Precisely. It's not worth when you invest in protection for your AD carry, but then your AD carry just becomes not a useful target. There's not much there. But speaking of useful targets, Swift is right on to Crazy.
Here's the dive here as well. It's being dragged out a little bit there. Crazy, cleverly enough, there's going to Frozen Tomb himself, forcing Fee away. He still has half
coming out,
and there's minions to take it up as well. As soon as they put
Nice
the damage
dodge.
on, got me a quick flash away. Depth charge was down, but there's no chance to capitalize.
Had to make that fancy footwork to get out of harm's way. Nonetheless, a big wave going to be pushing for QG. It's missed out now by Crazy, and ESC Ever going to turn their attention to mid because they can't stop anything up top.
Oh!
That's
pulverized towards Athena. He got himself caught a little bit too far forward. The Buster Shot actually assisting him there, enabling him to get out of that Crucible.
A bit of back away, though. They're just trying to pile into mid lane. The wave clear from Crazy, it's good. From Sivir, it's good. But with one person poked out, they're trying to just have weight of numbers to take this outer turret.
Clear the wave, though, with the Sivir Boomerang. Not too bad. TNT steps a little far forward, looking for Loken here. Has more damage. You can't spell shield anything from the Tristana, though he takes a few turret shots on the backside of it, healed up by the Nidalee.
You can see the pressure that QG are able to apply now. Shoes on the other foot, to be honest. Ever had the incredible siege ability in that last game, but of course, the Nidalee being in the mix there for QG is going to give them a little bit of that themselves. TNT now being on Tristana. They can do this. They want to pressure, and they want this turret badly.
2 games in a row, they had the double AD factor, just win a game in. So they don't have it this time. They also don't have the global advantage. There's a lot counting against Ever. A lot of their previous win conditions, a lot of their previous trends have been abandoned in this draft.
You have to be able to adapt in a best-of-5 series, and QG, despite being down 1 game in this series, it is Ever's game to take it all the way and take this final here in IEM Cologne Season 10. But QG are looking like the ones that want to take it all the way to Game 5.
3k gold difference between these two teams. It was the one turret coming up for QG, and as well, Essence Reaper now being finished here for Loken. A few of those items starting to creep in here as well, but definitely a lot of focus towards the movements of these teams in 3s and 4s and in 5s.
And this is the part of the lane where things get a little bit better for the Kassadin. Doesn't quite have the Rite of Age. It's actually quite a late timer now. We're sitting at 40 minutes 30. Was forced to move away from finishing that item, picking up the Amp Tome instead, just because of back timings. Athena's at the point now where with Riftwalk, isn't as easy to all in, barring some jungle help, so able to just pile on the CS. Been about 10 to 15 CS advantage for the majority of the lane. Credit Ares for that early, and now just the scaling of Kassadin in this matchup.
Yeah, so much damage is going to be coming out of these two, though, the later the game goes on. Cassiopeia, picking up that blue buff, will have the aspect of the Serpent stacks going in favor of her. But for the Kassadin side, like you mentioned, there's still that Ignite. Yes, they don't have the global pressure, but he's got extra damage from that. He starts to be able to trade more effectively versus the less mobile Cass. And for the rest of QG, they're going to have to watch out for Athena. The way this one goes, Ares moving up to the mid now to try and help out and alleviate some more of that pressure.
Yeah, well, in the top lane as well. Again, V wanting just to contest, and look at the amount of damage he's able to put across the board. No offensive items for that Nautilus, and he's able to just to pressure Crazy so hard.
You can even build for the team. He's actually gone, as you can see very clearly, for the Aegis. He might even turn that into a banner of command just to stop.
Why not?
Lissandra from being able to clear waves, promote that minion. Now magic resist.
Nails it.
magic resist immune it would be with the Banner of Command. Is yep, it's just being annoying.
Yeah.
He's the big tank.
Well, he's got such a massive lead. You said it was a great matchup for the Nautilus, but he's had a little bit of help in the form of Swift. It's such a rough game for Crazy.
And I don't know, I didn't even notice this. Once again, Swift's got all the kills.
Yep.
Yeah, well, at least a couple towards TNT here as well. I mean, V's channeling is in a James Bond, but he's still able to get plenty of farm, plenty of money going in towards him, so he wouldn't be complaining too much about that. But again, QG looking for their second dragon of the game.
Should be uncontested here. There's way too many members of Ever completely off in space. So another dragon will go over to the QG Reapers. They pick it up 16.5 minutes, taking stock of everything else that's on the board. It's only a slight gold advantage, but of course, the one tower in the game is also in the Reapers' pockets.
The big thing for Ever to do here is that because they have that global disadvantage, they have to force those teleports. They have to start grouping and trying to take objectives, but they don't have the best team for that. We've got a Lissandra who is so far behind. Look at that, finishing blasting one. Still not any sign of a Rod of Age. Still, what, 1,000 gold away from finishing that item. They have a Siva who does good turret damage but has short range. And they have a Kasten who clearly isn't built for Siege. So their Siege's not great, even with the Trundle Pillar thrown into the equation. So how will they actually force the teleports outside of the games? Because clearly ganking side lanes is not the way to go. They've found out time and time again. They need to gank the players with teleport rather than just ending up outnumbered every time.
Yeah, and they can't even do that if they wanted to right now. Look at the Rek'Sai tunnel placement that Ares got. It's all in their own jungle. It's all domestic. They cannot get to the side of QG. If they want to be able to make plays, they need to get in there, they need to grab some vision, but they're afraid of taking this fight. Defensive Trundle Pillar, that says it all this game. Ever need a way back into this game, but they're afraid to take it. It's a catch-22.
The last time Ares actually forged his way into QG's jungle in a meaningful manner, it was to try and contest that blue way back towards the start of the game. And since then, he's been so concerned about keeping that Kasten going, but now Swift is going to get jumped on as well. Ares gets the knock-up fairly easily, killed there, but the TP comes in from V. Duanbee's in the back line. He can do so much work from here. Key, sure, he's doing some work, but there's Duanbee. The Twink Fangs claim a kill, and now drops Athena. Key now has to back away as well. QG, again, get the 2 for 1.
We talked about rising to the occasion. We talked about QG being able to rise to the level of their opponents. Duanbee's gonna
knock it down.
Wow.
That was a narrow.
The turret hit fizzes out of nowhere, but QG's drafting in particular is what's jumped up the most. I love the flex of the Nautilus. It's been wonderfully strong for them in this particular game, and Ever, specifically with the Siva, kind of overthought themselves. We thought they'd done that with Varus a couple of games before. Turned out to be a masterstroke, but the Siva ulted, showed up to that fight late with no mana, and just can't hold a candle to the Siva.
Oh, that is going to follow pretty far.
Tristana
There
even
it goes.
as, well,
yeah, Ares is going in.
He crit as well. 214 damage in the turret.
The problem for Ever is they smelled the Shetan Gold. Yes, they got it. And they weren't prepared to follow up the fight. That teleport came in from V. They didn't need the one from Duanbee, who's already there. QG just collapses so much better.
But where was Crazy in that fight? Like, realistically, like, he wasn't able to be the factor again, like, still struggling to have that relevance, super far behind. I don't even think he had a TP in there. Whether if he was in the fight, he was there by...
He initiated early. He's the one that got the ult on
got the
Swift,
lockdown.
but you wouldn't... I can understand why you didn't notice it, just because he's still not got the Rod of Ages, still not got any
doesn't do
real
damage.
But it just wasn't a big
He
impact.
was relegated to peel duty the previous game. It's just, he's going to actually look at a Nautilus who's going to do exactly the same role in the team fights, but superior just because he built full tank. He's got auras for his team, and Lissandra's just never going to do damage.
And that's the key thing here. With that Locket already completed, they're looking for Loken to be able to do more damage, and he's sitting on just the Essence Reaver, just the Zeal item. He's on Sivir. It's not a champion that's known for doing a massive amount of damage. Ever just have so few options here. Even if they get a perfect engage, they can't do that much damage. Look at the Nidalee Spear. It's, again, just like this old Nidalee build with the way Swift is so far ahead in this game.
Going to keep the siege going, and Nautilus can stand in the front, tank some turrets, tank some nukes. He doesn't have any cares in the world. Obviously, can look for a turret if they so need to, but it's just chip damage coming in, and chip damage and then some.
The team fight is going to be real for QG if they get that opportunity. It's a Locket of the Iron Solari now for V. He didn't go towards the Banner of Command, but this definitely makes sense in its own kind of way. Abyssal Scepter as well for Duanbee. He's got that needlessly large rod as well, and he's ticking up the tier. Really, QG just reaching forward. And I mean, look how deep they are right now. Look at the control they're exerting on either side of the map.
This is just like what Ever was able to do last game. Just put tanks in the front, get the damage out on the turret. Trundle Pillar's not going to do a thing here, and that is all gone. They can start sieging up for the inhibitor turrets. They've got waves about neutral positions everywhere else on the map, and they just keep on marching down the mid.
We just think historically, in Ever's history, it's a short history granted, there's always been something about their late game that can get them back into it. Is it an extra teleport? Is it the double AD? Is it some sort of trump card in the late game? I'm sorry, guys, but I think all the trump cards on the side of QG. I don't see where they're going with now a CDR boot, Essence Reaver, Zeal, Sivir. Okay, she can throw out the Q quite a lot, but she doesn't do any damage.
Oh, tower's gone down now. See if they can get a catch on a QG and turn this one around. It's going to be a hard to fight, though.
Has TCT been caught or have ever been caught by him? He was forward. TNT a little bit too far forward himself, but there's a petrifying gaze. It catches on towards 2, and Kia's going to drop down. Twingfang's coming in. Loken did get onto TCT. It was a 1v1 there as well. And ESC, for whatever reason, want to come forward still on this one. V just trying to shepherd off, just trying to dissuade any further pushing forward.
A little bit of more damage, but they traded support for support. It didn't mean that much other than the fact that they saved their inhibitor. Obviously, that's big, but QG are still very much in the driver's seat this game. Ever have not found a way back into it. And as you said, Papa Smithy, they don't have that many options. Sure, they've got cooldown boots on the Sivir, but sure, you can press Q, you can press R. If you can't do the damage, what's the point?
And that's only the Castellan, right? Castellan's their only late game insurance. Lissandra, she's never going to hit late game. She's got a 20-minute Rod of Ages.
Well, there's a Locket already, too.
Exactly. The 20-minute Rod of Ages, she's just, it's a champion that's more known for the CC late game rather than any sort of semblance of burst. It's early burst into just consistent CC in the late game. She's basically a non-factor. Rek'Sai, again, CC bot. Trundle will do his thing, but the Sivir, it's just so far. I mean, Infinity Edge, Rapid Fire Cannon, Berserker Greaves to 40% CDR coming through from the Sivir, a champion that's already, as you mentioned earlier, not known for her damage. Not even the teleport. That's the thing. If we had double teleport and a Castellan, I could say, okay, Ever's wonderful at the globals, maybe they'll get there. But they've paid for their lack of globals twice already in the early game. And this Ignite, don't think it's going anywhere.
And QG marched forward here as well. They literally traded one Javelin for a tower just then. That's all they had to do. With Loken so low, Ever had to back away, and the pressure keeps mounting at Dragon.
Another one will be picked up. This will be number 3, a little extra mobility. They don't really need to go towards that 5th Dragon because they have so much pressure offensively. Again, doesn't cost them anything to take it. It's just picking it up off the shelf while they march towards this bottom side. Ever's moving and mobilizing, but they have such a long way to go to try and catch up in this game, and QG are not letting their foot off the pedal.
Now, ironically, QG are reminiscent of Ever yesterday. Their game 1 is Spearland's not as big a deal, but regardless, they've got 3 dragons by 22 minutes. Even 5th dragon is a potential concern, but looking like the game might be over before then.
Yeah, Athena just giving a lot of respect here, and V actually moving forward on that one. Again, another tower taken. QG had to exert a minimum of pressure to take these key objectives away. And Crazy trying to do what he can on the top lane, but it's just not enough to counterbalance this strong 5-man push towards his objectives.
Even more pressure being exerted. They turn towards the mid side. TCT gets the knockup and the knockback. Ares has to burn his flash. They focus onto Key now, and this is going to be trouble forever. TNT with another.
That's it. He got subjugated and taken down very quickly. And ESC again want to give ground, but Doomby might not let them. He does get Frozen Tomb there, and Crazy gets the damage across the line. But TCT is in. He gets the head back towards Woken. There's nothing. A spell shield isn't going to be enough to keep you alive in that situation. It's a 3-for-2 trade. A messy one, but QG, they get what they came for.
Yeah, they get the inhibitor like you mentioned, and they picked up the kills as well. I love the dying headbutt by TCT to condemn Loken to death. All he can do is wave clear. That's all he wanted to do in that particular situation if he could have lived, but again, gives up his life. Athena starts to clear out these creeps. Every single trade from that double teleport early has gone in the favor of QG.
And this is the big problem. Not only is there the double teleport advantage, Crazy isn't even using it. He was up on the top side trying to push the wave in the top. He eventually just backs after they'd already lost the bottom tier 2. They still couldn't hold on to their inhibitor in the middle. QG are just so good with this composition at sieging down the middle. They instantly learned their lesson from the last game, and if everything continues as expected, we are in for a Game 5.
I mean, they're opting into double Rod of Ages. Understandable given the champions, but double Rod of Ages, now into the Seeker's Arm Guard, into scaling, where instead, V could just build for the team and with immediate power spikes. Locket, Sunfire Cape, both super strong early. They don't even tickle this Nautilus at this point. Everything is working through for QG. They've got everything they're looking for, and they just try to keep out mathematically clearing things as Ever wait for some scaling.
And you can see now the wave clear at a premium here for ESC. They're throwing out everything they've got to slow up QG's advance. And to be fair, they've done that. But Swift as well will always be off to the side, throwing javelin after javelin, chunking ESC down and reducing their capacity to stand up to the rampaging QG.
Tristana. She's the one that can just poke in. She's getting longer and longer range. We know how quickly she can delete turrets. Super Minion's going to keep pushing into mid. There's only so long Eva can stay here.
Here's going in, though.
Here's the fight, and it's going to be Ares just knocked back again. The headbutt's a bit on point from TCT. A Frozen 2 for Crazy. He gets himself in the middle. Good disruption, but he's going to get splattered there. The double kill for TNT, and they're going to continue to come forward. TNT goes low, but he doesn't care. He's going to get yet another one. A triple for the man. And, of course, Swift getting involved where he had to. Doomby will fall, sadly enough, towards the tower. A ace for 2, and that's QG pushing forward.
Yeah, they're going to bring in the Super Minions. They're going to take over this game, and guess what, gents? We're going to a Game 5. Eva, they've had some great smart picks, but twice they've been caught out. First it was the Soraka, now of course it's the top lane Nautilus. Do they have one more rabbit in the hat? QG, because if they do, they're going to win IEM Cologne.
You'd better hope so now. A Game 5, ladies and gentlemen. Every series this weekend has gone to the very end, and this one is no exception. GG is going to be QG to make it to a Game 5.
Absolutely dominant performance from the QG Reapers. They pick up another one. They